sweat going, you're fine. Once you've got that aerobic base built, here's how you test it. Okay? Very simple. Go to the gym, take your pulse for a full 60 seconds. Get that full count. Everybody knows how to take a pulse, right? Pretty easy. Get that full 60-second count. Remember what that count was. Get on the treadmill and sprint as hard as you can for a minute. 30 seconds, a minute. Go as hard, as fast as you can. Take your heart rate again. Usually, you should be so wiped out, you'll have to use the machine to take a heart rate. Okay? Then time it. How fast does that heart rate drop? It should drop 30 beats in under a minute. At least 20 beats under a minute. Anything less than that, you haven't got your base. You need to do more base training. Okay? It's that simple. Just look how fast your heart rate recovers. That's what we're after, is that increased heart rate recovery. That's what we want. That's endurance.
What is that test called again?
Well, the test we used to do is called a graduated cardio test. It's a graduated cardio test, and if you get online, you'll find some different ones. If you go to the actual American Council on Exercise, go to their website, they may have some of these tests posted. It's not a difficult test if you and a friend want to get together and run it. It doesn't take any special training to do it. It's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple test. You just need to have somebody there being able to watch you. You want a heart monitor when you do it, because you have to actually monitor heart rate. And it'll give you an actual, and it's pretty accurate actually. It was usually within 12 to 15% of an actual VO2 submaximal test.
So one thing I noticed when I was training is that I was going on time at heart rate, which is what I was seeking from my cardio training.
Yeah.
And I found that it kept getting harder and harder to get my heart rate there, which is one of the reasons why the heart rate is a leader.
Yeah. Yeah, what happens is as you improve that aerobic base, your heart rate's going to drop.
Yeah.
And so it's going to say, well, you got your heart rate up to this, and it's going to be a little tricky getting it up because your heart's more efficient. It doesn't have to beat as hard. That's a good thing. Until you get really low, which does happen. We do have athletes who train their heart rates down to nearly stopping.
So, getting that heart rate while you pretty much have to have a heart rate monitor for the recovery part of it, right? Because if you're going to try to count a full minute while you're in recovery, you're not ever going to get an accurate count.
Yeah, you need to have a heart rate monitor, or if you're on an elliptical machine,
Okay.
use the monitor on that.
Just go real slow and just enough to keep it going.
No, you want to stop.
Okay.
Stop. Just stop. Don't stop. Boom, because you get a thing we call blood pooling. Yeah. But yeah, stop a little bit, slow down, and then take it. Give yourself a minute to kind of slow down a little bit and then take it. Yeah, you'll need a heart rate monitor, or if you've got the machine should have a monitor. If you're on a treadmill, you're going to have that there, or you're going to have to do the count on the pulse. That's tricky, but you can do it. You can do it.
All right, so the heart rate monitor itself is fine on the machines. It's just that maximum rate is not good.
Yeah, don't go by that. Yeah, yeah. You can. Yeah, definitely. If you have a heart monitor, use it. Definitely. Definitely use it. We see an actual improvement in performance with people who actually use heart rate monitors when they do their cardio activity. You actually see a big difference. But don't go by the thing. Don't go by what they're telling you. Don't go by any of the numbers. Go by perceived exertion. If it feels too high for you, it's too high. If it feels too low, it's too low. So just go by that perceived exertion. Perceived exertion is a big component of a graduated cardio test. That's one of the things we look at. So don't go by that. Go by the numbers. Okay?
So you're talking about this 12-week period of just running or whatever.
Yep.
Are you allowed to do anything else? Can you lift weights? Can you
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's not going to interfere with, you do that on opposite days or the same day? Or
You can do it on the same day. Your lifting program is separate. It uses a different, again, weightlifting uses mostly glucose and glycogen again for functioning. It's not cardiovascular. It's not going to use that oxygen metabolism, so you're not going to interfere with that. But what's going to happen after, but let me tell you what you want to do after the 12-week period for fighting. Okay? After you get done with this 12-week period, let's say it doesn't take you 12 weeks, let's say it takes 8. You go in, you do the test, you get a good recovery rate, your heart rate's dropping 30 beats, or 25 beats in under a minute. That's pretty good. Does that fairly routinely, you feel pretty comfortable with that. So now what? You're going to move on to a higher intensity training a couple days a week. And you're going to gradually step away from that base building program. Now you can start upping the intensity, lowering the duration of time you spend on the treadmill. Now you can start running. Now you can start doing something heavier. Because now you're going to start conditioning with that oxidative metabolism. Now you can start increasing cardiovascular strength, you can start increasing lung capacity. And what you're going to find is it's going to be easier to do that, it's going to be easier to perform. Ultimately, the best kind of cardio program for a fighter is interval training. Does anybody here do interval training now? Yeah. Interval training is the best one to do. It actually, this goes to another rule I'm going to talk about here in a minute called specificity, which in athletics means, very simply, you want to train your body specifically in the fashion that it's going to have to perform in the sport. It's got to be, should be a correlation between the two. Sometimes that means the sport itself, but we don't go throw boxers in a swimming pool. Sometimes we do. If we need to shake up the system a little bit, but we don't do that on a regular basis. We don't make marathon runners swim. We don't make swimmers run. Specificity. So, interval training simulates what your heart rate goes through when you fight. It goes up really high, really quickly, and then it has to come down really quickly. Here's the deal. If you don't have an aerobic base, you're wasting your time interval training. Because the key to interval training is having that heart rate come down quickly enough for you to begin another interval. Does that make sense? If your heart rate won't recover, you can't start another interval. Interval training, also, the way I run interval training, if you got notes, if you want to write this down, and I'll remind, I can tell you if you want later, come up and catch me. What you want to do for interval training, one interval is this: 3 minutes at your lowest rate. So at that base building rate, whatever that was, let's say that's on a treadmill that's walking at 3.5 on the treadmill. Okay? 3 minutes at that rate. 2 minutes at a higher rate. Let's say 4.8, maybe 5, so a light jog. 2 minutes there. 1 minute at a fast jog, slow run. 6 maybe on the treadmill, 6.5. 1 minute at a full out run. That usually means over 8 on the treadmill, so over 8 miles an hour. 30 seconds maxed out. 30 seconds, not just maxed out, 30 seconds in anaerobic state. You want to be anaerobic. That means your body is not burning any oxygen at all. Do not do that longer than 30 seconds. If you are anaerobic in your training for more than 1.5 minutes, you will actually kill healthy tissue in your body. You can damage your heart. 30 seconds, because if you do that, you'll push that anaerobic threshold up. But you just nudge it. A lot of people get in there and go anaerobic for 5 minutes. And those are the runners you hear about. Say, you hear about Bob, he ran every day and then he had a heart attack on the road. Yeah, Bob was running like crazy. You can damage your heart. Remember, exercise is damaging the body just slightly. Just enough to provoke a healthy response. So, 30 seconds anaerobic. After that 30 seconds, you start over again. So after that last 30 seconds, your heart rate's going to drop down to where it was on the first 3 minutes. And you don't begin another interval until your heart rate's down to where it was when you started. So if your heart rate takes, I know, I've seen people took 5 minutes to get down that low. Your interval takes less time than that. You're not spending enough time interval training, you're spending more time getting your heart rate recovered. So make sure you've got that aerobic base before you begin interval training.
Wait, let me see if I get this straight. Start at 3 minutes at this regular pace, then a little fast, a little fast, a little faster.
Yep.
Till you get to the point at 30 seconds, you're just flat out.
Flat out, hard and as fast as you possibly can.
And then you stop, go into recovery, and then start back at 3 minutes again.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not a stair step where you go up that 30 seconds, then back it off a little bit.
Nope.
And you stop,
Stop with
recover,
the heart
start
recovery.
over.
Yep.
Now, is it a dead stop or is it kind of a slow down?
No,
stop?
go back to the speed you were at when you started. So if you're at 3.5 when you did that first 3 minutes on the treadmill, after you hit that 30 seconds, take it back to 3.5.
Oh, and that avoids the blood pooling thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you just walk at that
Right.
slow
What's
pace
blood
until you hit your heart rate.
Okay.
Blood pooling is when you are engaged in really heavy physical activity, your blood is getting pumped back up to your heart through contractions in your leg muscles. The leg muscles actually massage the veins and force the blood back up to the heart. So when they're working really heavily, they're pushing a lot of blood up, and then you stop and they stop moving. The blood settles in your feet, not in your head. And you faint. Blood pooling itself is, this is what I tell you, blood pooling is not dangerous, it won't hurt you. Because once you faint, you're going to go back to normal. Yeah, Blood pooling's not dangerous, it's the sudden stop after blood pooling that's dangerous.